All right, welcome back. Today, we're going to crack open a book that's, believe it or not, almost 250 years old. And yet, its ideas, they're so powerful, they still shape pretty much everything about our modern lives. So, let's dive right in. So, let's kick things off with a question that, on the surface, seems pretty simple. How does your dinner actually get to your table? I mean, really think about it. Well, the answer was laid out by a brilliant Scottish philosopher way back in 1776, and trust me, it's way more fascinating than you'd think. Okay, so to really get how revolutionary Adam Smith's ideas were, we've got to take a step back. We need to look at the world he was living in, the world he was trying to change. And, it was a world that had a totally different way of thinking about wealth.
So, the dominant economic theory back then was something called mercantilism, and the core idea was super simple. They believed that the world's wealth was basically a single, fixed pie. That's it. It couldn't get any bigger. So, if one country wanted a bigger slice, well, that meant another country had to get a smaller one. It was a complete zero-sum game.
And that led to a pretty ruthless playbook for every country. Rule number 1, hoard as much gold as you possibly can. Rule 2, block any goods coming in from other countries using these heavy taxes called tariffs. And Rule 3, sell to other countries, but buy almost nothing back. And the result? Well, it was totally predictable. It was basically an economic Cold War, with country after country slapping tariffs on each other, which just completely strangled global trade.
And then, 1776 happens. Adam Smith publishes his masterpiece, The Wealth of Nations. And in it, he proposes this radical, completely new way of thinking about how the whole economic world works. It was a game changer. I mean, Smith just completely flipped that old model on its head. He said, wait a minute, wealth isn't fixed at all. It can actually be created. That economic pie, we can make it bigger for everybody. And the secret sauce wasn't hoarding gold, no. It was encouraging free and open trade between nations.
And here's the really crucial part. Smith argued that when every single person is free to just pursue their own self-interest, to try and make a better life for themselves and their family, they are, without even realizing it, led by what he famously called an invisible hand. And this invisible hand actually guides all those individual actions to benefit society as a whole. Pretty cool, right?
Okay, that sounds amazing in theory, the invisible hand. But you're probably wondering, how does it actually work? Like, what are the nuts and bolts here?
Well, for Smith, it all starts with something called the division of labor. Think about it like this. Let's say you decide to specialize in just one thing, baking bread. You become an amazing baker. But now, you need a butcher for your meat and a brewer for your beer. And at the exact same time, guess what? The butcher and the brewer, they need you for their bread. See? This web of people depending on each other, that's what creates a market. And it's that market that really drives prosperity for everyone.
And this gets to Smith's most famous, most brilliant point. He wrote, and I'm paraphrasing a little here, that it's not because the butcher or the baker are nice people that we get our dinner. No, it's because they're looking out for their own self-interest. The butcher sells you good meat because, hey, if he doesn't, you're not coming back, and he goes out of business. It's a win-win. You get your dinner, he makes a living.
Now, this doesn't mean Smith was arguing for some kind of economic Wild West, just total chaos. Not at all. He believed this whole powerful system of self-interest only really works if it's built on a foundation of 3 key pillars. So here they are, Smith's 3 keys to a thriving nation. First, you have what he called enlightened self-interest. This is the idea that we don't just act for a quick buck. We think long-term, we build good reputations. Second, a limited government. We'll get into what that means in a sec. And third, a solid, stable currency and free markets. And you see, they all have to work together. The government provides the stable framework, the free market provides the opportunity, and that allows all of us to pursue our long-term interests.
And when Smith said limited government, he definitely didn't mean no government. He saw a few very specific but absolutely vital roles for it. Things like, national defense, a legal system to enforce contracts, building public works like roads. And this one's really interesting. He was a big believer in universal education, partly to fight against the mind-numbing boredom of factory work.
But, and this is a big but, he was super skeptical of governments getting too big and sticking their noses into everything. He basically warned that governments are just naturally good at one thing, finding new ways to spend your money and, well, draining money from the pockets of the people, as he put it. And history gives us some pretty clear examples of what can happen when governments interfere too much. Just look at the 1970s gas crisis in the US. The government tried to put a cap on gas prices. Their goal was great, right? Make gas cheaper for everyone. But what happened? The result wasn't cheap gas. It was no gas. Just massive shortages and those infamous crazy long lines at the pump. And what happened when they finally lifted the price controls? Poof. The shortages vanished, almost overnight.
Smith had this absolutely brilliant analogy to show just how absurd things like tariffs can be. He said, look, you could technically make wine in Scotland. Sure, you just have to build all these crazy expensive heated greenhouses. But the wine you'd make would be like 30 times more expensive than the amazing wine you could just import from France. So wouldn't it make way more sense for Scotland to stick to what it's good at, say making wool, and just trade that wool for French wine? Everybody wins.
So, let's bring this all together. What was the lasting legacy of Adam Smith's ideas? And what happened to the man himself? Well, stick around, because the ending to his story has a fantastic little twist.
To put it simply, his book basically launched the world into an entirely new economic era. It shattered that old, stingy, fixed pie idea of mercantilism, and instead, it gave humanity this incredible vision of widespread prosperity. This idea that wealth wasn't something to be hoarded, but something that could be created for everyone.
Now, let's be fair, the book wasn't perfect. I mean, it was 1776, Smith didn't quite nail down a full theory of pricing, and he kind of missed the massive importance of the entrepreneur, the person who takes the risks. But that's okay. What he did was lay this incredible, essential groundwork that, honestly, economists have been building on ever since.
Okay, but here it is. The truly delicious irony of Adam Smith's life. So, you've got this guy, he's just written the literal Bible of free markets. So what do you think the world's greatest champion of free trade did for the last 12 years of his life? Any guesses? Get this, he spent the last 12 years of his career as the Commissioner of Customs for Scotland. His actual job was to be the guy enforcing all the tariffs and taxes on imports, the very things he had spent his life arguing against. You can't make this stuff up. And he wasn't just, phoning it in either. The man took his job so seriously that at one point he found out that some of his own clothes had been smuggled into the country illegally. And what did he do? He had them burned. It's the perfect, humanizing, incredible contradiction for the father of modern economics. And all of that leaves us with one final big question to think about. Adam Smith gave us this powerful, optimistic vision of freedom and prosperity for all. But when you look at our world today, it's so incredibly complex, so globally interconnected. Is his invisible hand still enough to guide us all on its own? Or maybe, just maybe, does it need a little more of a helping hand to really work its magic?